Hi everyone, it's Rebecca Imholz with the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome you to today's The Pivot, Living and Working During COVID-19. This has been such a very sought after, popular weekly webinar that we have started back in March when COVID-19 hit, and I've really enjoyed getting to know more about our members with the Chamber and what they've done to successfully pivot during this unprecedented pandemic. And I've also enjoyed getting to spend time with our moderator each week, John Carroll. Hello, John. How are you today?
Doing great today, Rebecca. Thank you. Good to see you as well. Thank you so much for always making this possible and lining everybody up. You are, in broadcast terms, the producer and the director. And those of us who get to step in and be on the air, as it were, are grateful to you for all you do for the Chamber. I want to welcome everybody also to The Pivot, a weekly series of informational discussions on our local, regional, and national issues in the midst of and following the current pandemic. This event is presented exclusively by the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce. My role as moderator is to introduce our guests, get the discussion started with some questions, and then give those attending the event live the chance to participate by using the chat or Q&A functions, which Rebecca will be monitoring. Thank you for taking the time with your Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce to join fellow members in staying informed to help you care for your team, your clients and customers, and take care of business in this post-pandemic economy and environment. An essential service for so many families working through pandemic conditions these days is senior care, whether that's in communities or in home. Let's meet two professionals whose organizations serve seniors and their families and learn how they and their teams are addressing the many and varied demands for their services under today's extraordinary conditions. Our first guest today on The Pivot is Leslie Sommerdyke. Leslie has been the senior living consultant with Daniel Pointe Retirement Community, a 55 and older independent living retirement community, for more than 2 years, and has worked in the local senior living industry for over 6 years. Her current role follows her 30-year career in advertising media sales. Leslie's passion for helping seniors comes from her own family's history with Alzheimer's disease. Leslie and her family have been proud to call Mount Pleasant home since 2004. Leslie Sommerdyke, welcome to The Pivot.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
Glad to have you with us. Our second guest joining us for this discussion on The Pivot is Ashley DesMarteau. A lifelong passion for community service, being a strong advocate and champion for causes are what led Ashley to home care assistance nearly 6 years ago. A career in high tech, leading a corporate foundation, and serving as a professional volunteer on numerous boards has provided a strong background for HCA's mission of changing the way the world ages. Ashley opened her office in Pawleys Island 5 years ago, then took on management 2 years ago of HCA offices in Greenville and Charleston. She has since opened offices in Clemson, Mount Pleasant, and most recently in Columbia. She continues her work with community groups, serving as the president-elect of the Tidelands Health Foundation and annual gifts chair, and 2 years as the mission chair for the Walk to End Alzheimer's. Ashley, welcome to The Pivot.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here.
Ashley, forgive me, I need you to tell me what is the proper pronunciation of your last name.
You nailed it. You did a great job. Demarteau.
Demarteau, wonderful. Once in a while we get things right, don't we? So glad to have you both with us. This is critical stuff that we're talking about. These are members of our family, and if anybody in the population is under attack with this COVID-19 virus, it's this segment of the population. And so I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but Leslie, let's start with you and focus first on life in a senior community. How do you take care of residents, even independent ones, in a community environment these days? What does it look like for meals and social activities, visitors, all of the above?
Sure, and that has been changing over the last couple of months as we've maintained safe protocols and reached certain milestones. We're able to kind of grow through this like everyone else. Right now, what that looks like is you will see our residents have been very healthy and strong through this. As staff, we are all wearing our masks and gloves when we're not in our offices, of course. And we've got signs around the community encouraging our residents to do the same. Guests who come to the community have to stop and get a temperature check. We make sure that they're safe coming in, that they wear masks. Guests can go visit their loved ones in their apartments, but first and foremost, the wellness of our community, our residents, our team, and our guests is all at the forefront of what we do.
Wow, and Leslie, I can't imagine how detailed you have to be in making sure that there's full compliance. You can't just say, oh, we don't have to do that this time.
Every team member here has a responsibility to making sure this community stays safe. Of course, our culinary team, our dining room team, our housekeeping team, our concierge, everyone plays a role in making sure that the environment here that they manage at Daniel Pointe is a very safe environment. And we take a lot of pride in that. Throughout this, we have all made sure when we leave the community that we are not putting ourselves at risk, so that when we come to work, we can be confident that we're not exposing anyone here at the community to anything that we may have been exposed to when we're not here at the community.
Right, and everybody relies on everybody else to take care of things, right? So that you do have safety. And it sounds like you've been able to stay healthy at Daniel Pointe, which is fantastic. Have you been taking in new residents during this time?
We sure have, but of course we are doing so very safely. New residents who move to the community are asked to monitor their symptoms for several days before they come here. Of course, new residents, as well as anyone helping them move in, go through those safety protocols before they can enter the community. And that's been a very important aspect of us being able, as we're talking about, to pivot, but continue to be successful in terms of offering seniors who need to move and need the support of a community, but making sure everyone's safe at the same time.
Yeah, that makes great sense. Do your residents, is there an isolation or quarantine requirement for people before they come into the facility?
There has been, and that's changed over time. Early on, we had more of a quarantine for new residents when they moved into their apartment to stay away from residents in our common areas. And that has since changed very recently to monitoring symptoms before moving in and getting that temperature check, as well as anyone helping them move in. But that's something that's changed over the course of the pandemic.
Yeah, and one other thing, Leslie, that really, is something that occurs to me is that you've got the term community in the name of your place, and it's community that is so critical to the vitality, the health of so many people that come to Daniel Pointe. Talk about that in terms of community meals, community events, and how all that's happening.
That's a great question, and something we've learned through this pandemic is seniors have really had a difficult time through isolation, through not being active. That's impacted their strength and their mobility. And as we all know, successful aging is your spiritual, your emotional, your physical well-being. And that's something we have really taken very seriously on the other side of the early stages of this is isolation and not being mobile are not good. So that's why this slow reopen and having people be engaged with each other, being able to be active and participate in activities serves many different purposes. Of course, in reopening the dining room, we operate as a restaurant, so we have to make sure the staff is safe, that we have physical distancing, that we make sure people aren't bringing anything in, wearing masks. And when we do activities, it's the same. We want people to be engaged with each other. We just want them to do it safely. And we've revised our calendars and events accordingly.
I can imagine you have. And then these days, how are you able to market to prospective new residents? How do you help them get acquainted with, the area, with inside the community? How does all that work these days?
So that we've learned a lot in how to pivot when it comes to having people here. Of course, we came to a screeching halt early on in all of this, but we learned how to do some great videos that we can pre-record and send to folks. We have done a lot of FaceTime and Zoom tours. We right now are back open for in-person tours, but so many of our residents and prospects are not in the area. Some don't necessarily feel comfortable coming over, and we've now got all sorts of new tools in our toolboxes that I think are best practices we've learned from what we've gone through that will continue to carry forward. We can now show someone Daniel Pointe and make them aware of this amazing lifestyle in any way that best works for them.
From anywhere in the world, I imagine, right?
Just how we're doing it right now. This is a model apartment behind me, so I can take someone on a tour throughout the community.
Fantastic. Thanks, Leslie. And I do want to, we're gonna pivot now shortly, and we're gonna talk about home care with Ashley. But then I want to talk, and I didn't prepare you for any of this, but I would love to hear some stories, and I think those attending would love to hear some stories of seniors and families and things that have happened that have been noteworthy through the time, right? Whether it's been heroic or just touching in some way, because we're talking about families here. We're talking about human beings. And I think there are some rich stories that I know I would love to hear, and I imagine others would as well. So thanks, Leslie. Ashley, let's move to home care assistance, shall we? How do you continue to take care of clients during COVID? You're in people's homes. That's got a whole different dynamic to it.
Absolutely, it does. And as you shared, our mission is to change the way the world ages. We are champions of aging well. And it's not just on the easy days. It's not just, where we're in that world of certainty or when we're not in the middle of a pandemic. It's every single day. And that's a pretty huge responsibility to take on, knowing that, people are depending on us every single day. That label, essential worker, was pretty daunting when we, first got into this, and really kind of understanding what that meant to all of our caregivers, to all of our care managers, the rest of the team, that people are counting on us, and they're counting on us to keep their loved ones safe. So that's something we took very seriously. Across all of our offices in the United States, we served more than 5,000 clients during those first 100 days of COVID, and fewer of 1% of those clients tested positive. More than 8,000 employed caregivers work for home care assistants, that's professional essential workers, and only 1% of those tested positive. And really those outcomes are due to a 7-step caregiver screening process, strict staff guidelines that we have, mandatory use of personal protective equipment that we monitor throughout every single day. So, being able to continue to be that lifeline for the clients and with the client family, be that trusted source for them was critical for us, and allowed us to continue to, well, yes, we all did that pivot and some quick education on understanding how we can safely go into homes, or if we're going in and providing care within a community, or even going into a hospital setting where we have been hospital sitters. It was a lot of education, a lot of retraining with caregivers so that we kept our workforce safe and all of our client families safe.
Thanks, Ashley. You mentioned personal protective equipment a little bit earlier, and you know, many people in the population didn't know that term before March. But I wonder how you were able to gather enough of the PPE, of the personal protective equipment, to keep everyone involved safe through home care assistance.
Well, I mean, you don't send a firefighter into a burning building without the proper equipment. And we are a company that is people first. And so absolutely our workforce is something that we invest in and we protect every single day. And so immediately from our corporate office in California, we receive shipments of thermometers, of N95 masks, of surgical masks, face shields, gowns, booties, you name it. I mean, we all love packages in the mail, but I mean, this was starting to get to be a lot across all of our teams in South Carolina. You know, this put us in a position where, I mean, literally our cup runneth over. And as we're hearing on the news and hearing from our partners in hospice and home health and case managers and social workers in the hospital, you know, kind of what they were going through and some of that struggle, we just felt like we needed to pay it forward. And so as a decision across our South Carolina team, we received all of this. We kept what we needed, but it's not going to do us any good sitting on the shelf. So we donated all across South Carolina to major hospital systems, to social workers, to hospice, home health companies, because they're on the front lines just like we are. We need all of them safe. We need our caregivers safe. And so, you know, it was just really important for us to have that investment. And, you know, we continue to get shipments, but from day one, Home Care Assistance was providing this across the board to all of our employees. We've never asked them to, you know, go and spend their own money to do that. And you're right. I mean, the shipments were in short supply and people were out and, you know, out on the front lines without the resources that they needed. So I'm really proud of our company that we were able to be so proactive, secure all of that, and then also make that investment back to our community.
I know I'm on mute there. I had to get off of mute. And so that's, to me, that's the perfect illustration of walking out. We're all in this together, right? That we've got more than we need and other people don't have enough of what they need. And we take care of others to the degree that we can. Have you been able to, and how have you been able to meet your staffing requirements? Because I imagine that's been a dynamic through all of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when we started getting the requests from our hospital partners, we're a preferred provider with several hospital systems, and, you know, we're accustomed to a certain level of care, patients coming out from different surgeries or patients who needed a little bit more support with Alzheimer's and dementia. Well, when we started getting the requests for patients who may have come into the hospital setting with COVID, but needed to come out, that put us in a position of
I think we might be frozen a little bit with Ashley. Don't know whether she's going to be able to stay with us, Leslie. She is, she's in still photo right now.
To be able to keep them safe. So, you know, that was definitely a new part of the workforce that we were looking for, but then also continuing to hire because the capacity and the need really continued as many people needed even more support in their homes if they didn't have their loved ones coming to visit or to be there to give them that support, or they were isolated. So, you know, our staffing team is just amazing and continue to reach out and hire as much as we could of the, we hire 1 in 25. So that's a lot of work on that team, but it was critical to keep up with the demand.
Yes, indeed. Ashley, thank you. What a great perspective. And there's just so many moving parts in that. How do you market a close contact business such as home care assistants during a pandemic? I mean, we've been prepared to be concerned, mildly, and to put it, just downright afraid at times of being places where other people are. How do you market a business that absolutely involves close contact? It's essential.
Well, for sure. I mean, definitely for us, word of mouth is everything. And so, because we do work, with a number of referral sources, our goal is really to be able to demonstrate what we do instead of to, tell somebody what we do. So really the impact, as much as we enjoy seeing everyone face to face and might be just a little bit fatigued of Zoom at this point, it is, that it has become that essential tool, just like our masks have become. And so we've had to figure out how to mute ourselves and unmute ourselves. But I think the biggest challenge has been with trying to make those connections with some of the client families, where we're having to have those conversations instead of, in that intimate home setting or by someone's hospital bed. Now we're having to rely on that over a computer, and you just don't get that same level of connection. But we work really hard to manage the care, to communicate what's going on, and so we're trying to help to keep families as much feeling confident with what's going on with their loved ones, and being able to help them to anticipate some of those changes that are going on. So, really the biggest thing that we're missing is that we hold educational, continuing education segments for case managers and for social workers where they can earn credit. And we have so much fun with that. And, everybody learns something out of it. And we just haven't been able to replicate that on Zoom because so much of the fun is the interaction. So I'm hoping that will be maybe Q1 that we'll be able to get back together.
That so many people, to your point, so many people are yearning to be face-to-face in person, right? And it's the things you don't have that get taken away that somehow are taken for granted until they're taken away. And I think for many people, that's been one of those, hasn't it? Yeah. Ashley, thanks. All right, so Leslie, let's bounce back to you. Tell us a story. Would you tell us something that touched your heart or some other hearts, a hero or something along those lines?
We had to be creative to keep people engaged and not bored for many months. And it was wonderful to see how creative our lifestyle director could be. And there were times when we would have balcony performances and opera singers or other types of performers would come, and everyone would go out on their balconies and watch her performance, and they would move all around the front and the back of the community. If you were to walk through our front doors, you would walk straight to a fountain with a koi pond that goes up 3 levels in an atrium. And it was really a blessing for us through all of this, and that we could do bingo or trivia or other things from the first floor at the fountain with a microphone. It would go up 3 levels with people social distanced, and they would be able to stay apart from one another but still stay active. And the appreciation our residents had for the creativity and the ability to engage but still stay safe when they know so many other people didn't have that opportunity really helped maintain that family feel here. On the flip side of that, while family members for a time weren't able to come, their gratitude for knowing their loved ones here were safe and well provided for just made us feel so good. We've got managers that live here at the community and 24/7 staff. We provide meals and room service. We have a beautiful theater that seats 150 people, which of course we're not doing that right now. But the gratitude from families for keeping their loved ones safe and happy, and the gratitude from our residents, I think for all of us here, is why we're here and doing what we're doing. And it's been a hard time, but sometimes through those hard times is when we all see what we're made of and we all get to touch each other in a deeper way. And that's certainly how we're all feeling on the other side of this.
Wow, Leslie, I can picture in my mind how the trivia contest went. I'm hoping you were able to get at least a slice of video for posterity, if nothing else, to...
If you go to Daniel Pointe's Facebook page, you're going to see all sorts of important things, serious things, and crazy things that have happened the last couple of months.
I imagine. Thank you. Thanks for the heads up on that. And thanks for the stories. Ashley, how about an example or two of something that's been particularly touching or extraordinary?
Well, I think every day's been extraordinary in the world of COVID. And honestly, people ask me all the time about the employees that we hire and what's the most important thing. And I think they're expecting a different skill level or X number of years of experience. And for me, it's compassion. Because someone who's compassionate understands the struggle and the challenge of making it to see their client on time and that someone's depending on them. And with all of us, we've had all of these extra pressures and uncertainty and fear and healthcare concerns, but having a team of professional caregivers who make that client and the client's well-being their priority has been extraordinary to be able to see. I mean, in our hearts, we know it, but when we see what they're doing and going above and beyond every single day and understanding how difficult this isolation has been for so many of our residents, of our clients who, may not be able to leave their home or who are quarantined, and just having that caregiver every day that's, that one bright spot that they're looking for. And that connection with their family, because we have a lot of caregivers who are doing, they've learned to do the Zoom calls too, so that the family in Minnesota and Pennsylvania can get to lay eyes on mom or dad. And so that's been, I think, just the level of creativity that people have come up with, kind of like what Leslie was saying in her community, that creativity to continue to enrich the lives of whether it's, residents in a community or clients in their home. And I would say, we had the privilege of being able to provide care to a patient who was the third patient who came out of the Tidelands health system positive with COVID. And she'd spent almost 4 weeks on a ventilator, and, she has made a full recovery. And the last day that we provided care, when she was able to graduate from our services, I don't think there was a dry eye anywhere, just that she had come so far and had a prognosis of maybe not even 5% of survival. Her sons were both, across the country, and we're just depending on their father and the surgeon to be able to give, any updates on the changes each day, and then us ultimately. And so it was quite the celebration when they were able to see her back home, COVID-free, and back to the mom that they had remembered.
Ashley, thank you. We love a happy ending.
Absolutely, we do too.
We appreciate happy endings. I'm so grateful to both of you. Rebecca, let's get you in here. You always have a great question from yourself or one of those attending the event live.
I've really enjoyed the stories. They're very uplifting. It's obvious that you all are taking such amazing care of your residents and your clients and are uplifting their spirits. How do you keep the morale uplifted for your employees and your caregivers? How are you doing that?
Leslie, go ahead, please.
We've got a really tight team. We've worked together for several years. Daniel Pointe celebrating its 3rd year anniversary this month. And so we have daily meetings, we have weekly meetings. We make it a point when we get together to share what we may need from each other in terms of getting through this and supporting each other. And we're very close with our residents as well. So I think, like Ashley was saying, honesty and compassion, being understanding. This has been a very unprecedented time. Celebrating victories together, lifting each other up through hardship. We've all needed each other as much as everyone's needed each other, and that's been important as a staff as well.
Thanks, Ashley.
Well, I think, one of the things that's been really important for my team is understanding that, when we talk about people first, that it's not just, a loose expression. And one of the things that we did early on was to put our value in our caregivers who were over 65 and part of that vulnerable population. And if they were working in a community, we pulled them out of the community. We continued to pay them as, their next pay cycle so that they understood that we recognize their health as a priority, and that, that just meant so much to our caregivers when they learned that, we were valuing them and their health. And I think that meant so much to our internal team as well. I mean, what we do every single day is challenging. It can be exhausting. It can be very emotional. And then you throw on a pandemic, but every day we know we have made a difference in someone's life, and that we've done it for the better. And so I think just continuing to lift each other up, find time to laugh, just to be able to let your hair down and share kind of what you're feeling, have that open environment, but also to be able to celebrate with each other and celebrate those tough days, celebrate the victories with someone being able to graduate from service, and to never stop recognizing our caregivers who are out there. Just the work that they do is so essential, and every opportunity we get to put some sunshine on them and highlight their efforts, because it really is remarkable. And without that strong group of caregivers out there, I think, it would be very difficult for so many of our clients, especially now.
Rebecca, how'd they do? Perfect. So Rebecca, thanks for the additional perspective and question. Leslie, let's give you the opportunity to share a final thought and where someone can contact you.
Sure, and thank you. We're here to serve. Our community is for people who are 55 and older. We're an independent living retirement community, and we want life to be worry-free. All of our amenities are included in a resident's monthly rent. So if you are out there and listening and a senior that is maybe struggling and being isolated, they need to be more social. Maybe they're not eating as well as they could. Perhaps they need to build up their strength and could really use the support of a community, or people who just want worry-free and they want to come and go and not deal with all of the upkeep that they might have to have at home. Have them give us a call. You can call us here at Daniel Pointe at 843-375-2710, or you can just look us up online, Daniel Pointe Retirement Community. We'd love to answer questions, get you involved in our community, and tell you how we can help out.
Wonderful. Thanks, Leslie. And Ashley, same thing.
Thank you.
Where we can find you.
Sure. Of course. Well, certainly the community support is so valuable for people, especially if they're isolated and need more of that engagement. And sometimes having a little bit of support at home is a nice transition for them before they move into a community. And so, you know, at Home Care Assistance, what we do is provide care management in the homes, and we match a caregiver with a client to be able to, for them to be able to stay at home and age in place as long as they would like to do that and it's safe for them. And so, you know, having that personalized approach, you know, one of the unique things we do is not only to match that care, but also to do the introductions and to develop a care plan for each one of those clients. We work with trusted advisors in each one of our communities, and so being able to help to refer those, whether it's a geriatric care manager who we work with, or an elder law attorney or financial advisor. Many of those I've met through Rebecca and are all chamber members. So it's been, you know, for me, very valuable because I don't ever recommend anyone unless it's someone that I would use for my own family. So that's been, you know, I just think that that's such an important piece. So we are in the South Atlantic Bank building in Mount Pleasant. We're kind of right across from Trader Joe's, so a perfect location. So y'all stop by, and love to see you here, or you can give me a call at 864.
Thanks, Ashley. I'm not sure we heard that last little bit. Rebecca, if you wouldn't mind adding a phone number and a contact point for Ashley, we may be having some transmission or signal problems.
Oh,
There you go. I hear you now.
I'll say my number real quick, 864-247-0234.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ashley. So thank you, Leslie Sommerdyke, Senior Living Consultant with Daniel Pointe Retirement Community, and Ashley DesMarteau, Executive with HCA, or excuse me, Home Care Assistance. Thanks to all of our chamber members with us live and those catching us on the recording. And a big thank you to the Mount Pleasant Chamber's own Rebecca Imholtz for keeping us on track today. From all of us at the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce, thank you for joining us this week for The Pivot. Make it a great week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.